Okay, hello. We are going to do similar to what you did with Mr. Flores yesterday on the carpet. Today, you are going to be using a word problem that we see here and a chart that we see here in order to decide what our equation might be, and then we will come up with a way to solve it. So obviously, there's no equation here. We have to find what do we know from this question, and we'll know more from the chart too. So we have to use both pieces of information in order to solve. And we also need to create the equation based on what we think it's asking us. So let's take a look at what this chart is. This chart shows what we call the enrollment of every kid in all the schools in Montgomery County. So this list right here are all the high schools that are in Montgomery County. Some of you might see schools that you know you could potentially go to. For example, you might be able to go to Blake, you might be able to go to Paint Branch, or Springbrook. Those are the three high schools that you would be able to go to. The number next to them is what we call the enrollment. This is how many students are enrolled at each school. That means this is how many students are attending school. They go there every day to take class. The next column is telling us the capacity, which you should know by now is how much it can hold. So you can see right away that the school Bethesda Chevy Chase has 1,828 students, but the building is only supposed to hold 1,665. Now, normally you want less students and more space, but sometimes you end up with more students needing to go to school than you have space for. So don't worry about it too much, but that happens a lot. They make new classrooms out of stuff. Anyway, knowing that's what this chart is telling us, we're going to find one of the schools here and the numbers here to help us solve the problem here. Why don't we move over and let's talk about this problem. It says at John F. Kennedy High School, every student, you know what? That sounds like a key word to me. The word every. It makes me think of like multiplication or division. Okay, every student needs to take one math class. If math classes can have at most, that means they can't have more than this. They can have at most 32 students per section. How many classes will they need to schedule? So I'm trying to answer this question. I'm trying to answer how many math classes will we need to make sure there are throughout the school day so that every kid can take math. Okay, this is sort of like yesterday when I gave you a problem on the board and I said, what does this mean? And we solved the problem talking about buses. We said, this is how many kids can get on the bus. This is very similar. This is saying there are a lot of kids at John F. Kennedy High School, and every single kid needs to take math. Well, if every math class can only hold 32 students, how many classes do we need? Well, I don't have enough information. I only know that there are 32 students in the class, so I need to think about where else. Oh, you know what? I haven't used anything from the chart. John F. Kennedy High School. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. Here it is, John F. Kennedy. All right. Now, if every student has to take class, I need to pick the number that shows how many students there are. The capacity is how many students could fit in the school, but the enrollment is how many students actually go to school. So this is the number I need because this many kids need to take math. Crazy. 1,674 students have to take math. All right, so let's think about this for a second. I need to make an equation. I need to decide how this many students are going to fit 32 in each class, and I need to find out how many classes there needs to be. What equation are you thinking about? Well, Hopefully you said division, because I know the total number of students and I know how many students to put in each group. The only thing I don't know is my groups, which is how many classes I need scheduled. So I can build the equation 1,674 divided by 32 students in every class, and I should find out how many classes I need in the schedule at Kennedy High School. I do not know how many classes. Okay, so let's begin. Now that I know what I'm trying to solve for and I know my equation, I need to start thinking about how do I do this? Well, yesterday we decided that the easiest thing to do is to make a list of the facts of 32. So I'm going to start over here. 32, 64, 96. Am I doing this right? Yeah, yep. Plus 3, 128. Oh gosh. 160. If I have to go past that, I will. And then I want to set it up similar to the way that I did yesterday, where I talk about long division. So I'm going to write 1,674 in the box, and I am using 32 as one of my factors. So I'm actually just going to come over here and make sure that I'm prepared to multiply by 32 since it's one of my factors. And now I'm ready to go. Okay, right away, I know I can't do 16 divided by 32, so I have to look at 167. So I need to look at 167, and what has 1 0? Tens. So I'm going to put a 0 there right away. And how close to 167 can I get? 1, 2, 3, 4. So 32 times 4 is 128. Oh, look, it lines up perfectly. Let me just do that. 32 times 4 is 128. But 32 times 4 tens is 128 tens. So, oh wait, Miss Hughes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gets me to 160. That's more reasonable. Mistakes get made. That's okay. So, I should go there and make it 160 tens. So 160 tens, because it's 5 tens. My answer should be in the tens. Let's see. I'm subtracting what's left, just 74. So how close to 74 can I get if I'm multiplying by 32? See, I'm multiplying by 32. I can get 1, 2, that's as far as I can go. So 32 times 2 is exactly 64. I don't need any zeros on the end, so let me subtract 64. Okay, and where am I going to look to find the answer to my problem? Well, if 32 was a factor I knew, I don't need it there. If 167 is something I knew, I don't need it there. What didn't I know? I did not know this factor. Okay, so I can have 52 classes, and there's a remainder of 10 students. Now, that's actually the answer. That is 1,674 divided by 32 is 52, remainder 10. But in a school, do we ever just leave 10 kids with no class to go to? No, of course not. So what are we going to, if you were running the school, what would you do? Would you leave those 10 kids out, or would you have to open another class? Remember, this is that park question I was talking to you about. If I want to know how many classes I need to schedule so that every student gets to take class, should I only be scheduling 52 classes and leaving 10 kids out? No, I need to actually schedule 53 classes. And if I schedule 53 classes, there might be a few classes with less students in it. They don't have to have 32. 32 is just the most it can have. Okay, so for the rest of class, you're going to be solving problems just like this one using this chart, okay? But don't forget, sometimes you need the answers from the problem before, so pay attention.